Welcome to the Psych Gym. I'm your trainer, Vanessa Perry, a former mental health therapist turned intuitive counselor. Much like a physical gym, in this space we'll aim to target specific psychological muscles and train them to be stronger. I'm so glad you are joining this gym. Let's hit the weights. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Psych Gym, the space where we do the reps to strengthen our emotional muscles. I'm Vanessa, your trainer, and today we are talking about something that touches every single relationship you'll ever have, or it should touch every single relationship you'll ever have, and that is emotional intimacy. Not just romance or sex, right? Like we think of the word intimacy and we're automatically thinking of some touching. But we're talking about emotional intimacy, friendships, family, even that relationship you have with yourself. So, if you've ever thought, why do I feel like kind of distant, even though I know cognitively that I'm close to someone? Or why is real connection so rare? Yeah, these are things we're going to hopefully clear up for you. Let's just start like we always do with kind of definition, I guess. Emotional intimacy is that feeling of being deeply connected, of being seen and understood by someone, and also allowing them to see and understand you back, which that back half of that, that y'all know sometimes when I said this in the last episode, when I write out these things, I'm like, yeah, this is so good. And it's so good because it's stuff that I do, work that I've done on myself a lot of times. I mean, everybody has to work on everything. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just part of life is that all of the concepts that I bring here are human concepts. It's not like many of us escape some of this stuff, but emotional intimacy is a thing. And it's not a thing that we are really good at anymore. I feel like there might have been a time where we were a little bit better at it, but we're not good at it anymore. And there's a lot of reasons for it, which we'll get into. But I feel like a lot of times we're really good at seeing other people and trying to understand other people, but that vulnerability that it takes for them to understand you back is what gets in the way of emotional intimacy. And I know that that's the thing for me. So that's why I got a little sasstastic when I started to say it. It's the opposite of surface level connection. It's when you feel safe enough to show your true self, the messy, vulnerable parts, the you that naturally shows up when you're not conscious of your surroundings without fear of judgment or abandonment. Like the natural state of you, right? Like when you're I feel like sometimes, if you've ever been like super drunk and sometimes you're just like, you can't be anything else but super drunk, right? Like you're just like, I'm just doing it. I'm doing all the things that happen because I have no control. I feel like it's akin to that. It's not the same as that, but it's akin to that, right? Like where your walls are kind of down and you're just like, I can't care about what other people think or do because I'm just in me right now. That is what we're talking about. So, to clear up a common misconception, though, it is not about being constantly dramatic or sharing every single thing that ever comes to your brain or every secret, just spilling everything out. It's about that realness. It's trusting someone enough to let your walls down and not have your trauma be the filter that everything you do or say passes through. Like, let's just say that again. It's about trusting someone enough to let your walls down and not have your trauma be the filter that everything you do or say passes through. And boy, is that sneaky. If you just sit and think about that. Very sneaky. And when you do it for long enough, it becomes an instinct and you don't even know you're doing it. So think about it. You can spend years with somebody and still feel emotionally distant. I think we've all been in this experience before, right? Where you're just kind of like, I don't know. I don't feel like I know that person. Like that the connection just doesn't feel like super deep. But then also, you can have a really deep talk with a stranger and feel instantly connected, right? Uh huh. I know. It's not time that builds intimacy. That is such a misconception, also. That, oh, well, it takes a couple years to get to know somebody. Like, no, it takes a couple years to get to know somebody who isn't vulnerable and letting you know them. That's what takes a couple years. If you can be open and somebody else can be open with you, you can get deeply connected pretty quickly. And I want to also make this clear that being deeply connected does not have to mean super long lifetime connection. Emotional intimacy isn't something that you have to hold only for people that you're going to have in your life forever. And I think that that's part of why we won't do it, right? Like, why bother? Because they could hurt me. And it's like, man, people can hurt you anyway. Even if you are not vulnerable, they can hurt you in some other way. So we have to be okay with our vulnerability. We have to be okay with being emotionally intimate with people that maybe are just going to carry on through life. It's the fear that we have of what they're going to do with our information that makes us build those walls, right? And so that's a whole podcast for another day, and I should probably write that down because I'm going to forget. Anyway, it's vulnerability, trust, and emotional presence. Why is this so hard? If it's so amazing, why isn't everybody just diving into this pool of emotional intimacy? Well, because of just that. It requires risk and trust. It means opening up, and opening up feels like it means you could get hurt. And I say feels like because, again, I've been hurt by people I did not let in all the way. It's happened. So I was not protecting myself. That's a fallacy that my brain made up. Like, well, if you don't tell them that, they can't use it against you. Oh, well, cool. They used something else against me because they are a person who uses things against you. It's not your vulnerability that causes that. It's your choice of people around you. Ouch. Truthbomb.com. That just came out. That's not on my little script here. I did not. That just came out. Anyway, most of us were taught directly or indirectly that vulnerability is dangerous. Sometimes we grow up in homes where emotions are ignored or punished or invalidated, right? And so we aren't really allowed to be seen or heard. And that makes us believe that we shouldn't be seen or heard, especially when we're really little kids. Maybe your past relationships left you feel rejected when you tried to open up, right? Being too much. Trying to have the wrong man or woman open emotional space for you. Right? We take on that as a rejection of self more than a, wow, I didn't really allow myself to evaluate the person that I was doing this with and whether or not they had the ability to do this. Over time, it makes us build walls. We'll keep conversations light. We'll use humor to deflect. We'll stay busy so we don't have to go there. Or if you're me, this is like confession space for me. I've said this to you before. As a former Catholic, I'm like, yeah, sometimes I'm in like a confession space, and then I do my, my journaling as my, it's not penance. That's what they call it. But, just my reset of being like, well, you said that, and that's what happened. I tend to just jump into the role of like being very curious and making people feel heard and making people feel seen and just really beaming that energy, which is beautiful. And I'm never going to lose that. But I will not, it's really hard for me to turn that on myself. It's like I will eke out a tiny bit of information and then be like, oh God, like, like, it's scary, and I get it. And that's why I'm not shaming anybody for it. I get it. It is something that I continuously work on. I'm still working on it now. I'm still working on it now. Right. And so there is no such thing as mastery of these things, because as life goes on, we have to do things vulnerably that we haven't done before. So just like we have to get comfortable with the fact that sometimes discomfort's going to happen. Sometimes we're going to find new levels of healing that we couldn't access before or didn't need to access before. So I'm not shaming myself for this. I'm a little bit like, wow, that's like, no wonder There's like a no wonder your connections or, whatever. It's because of these kinds of things. It's because I need to dig deep and you need to dig deep and we all need to dig deep if we want what we want, which is deep connection. And we do. It's a human thing. But protecting ourselves feels safer than risking that pain. Maybe for the first time or again, right? Like if we've ever been hurt before, it's even harder, right? Because brain is like, nope, we know where that leads. Nope, we know where that leads. And we have to be like, well, listen, we know where it might lead, but we're willing to take the risk because if it doesn't, oh God, what could be on the other side of that? I'm curious and I'm willing to handle whatever comes from that because I will still be okay. And that's a whole other level of healing to be able to trust yourself when you get hurt. Anyway, here's the truth. The walls might protect you from hurt. Kind of. They don't, but you might think that they're going to protect you from hurt, but they also really block that real connection. In order to feel like taking a risk, we often, both consciously and subconsciously, try to evaluate the other person for their trust factor. If we feel like they are fairly trustworthy, we often feel okay opening up. How do some of us evaluate that? Sometimes it's a person who seems similar to us, so we feel like they probably won't judge us, right? So if we're kind of in the same boat, I can let something out because I'm like, yeah, you have no right to judge me because you're doing the same thing. Sometimes we already know that the person is trustworthy through others or through their profession, right? Like people love to tell me stuff because they're like, oh, this bitch is not going to judge me. She's heard some things. And it's true. It's so true. Other times we are simply going on vibes. I go on vibes all the time. Like, let's see what happens because I feel good. I feel fine. I feel like, they're probably not going to hurt me and they probably can't hurt me, right? In order to be vulnerable, many of us have taught that the trust comes first. And that's just super backward when you say it out loud, right? That literally doesn't make sense. How do we know who can be trusted if they are not given anything important to show up for to build the trust? Fuck, right? Like, kind of sucks. All right. When we look at how we pre-sabotage things with these walls, it's like, damn it. Emotional intimacy isn't like a dramatic movie moment with the violin playing in the background. I mean, sometimes in my head it's like that, but it doesn't really look like that in real life. It is, it can, generally speaking, it's found in small everyday things. Honest conversations where you say, sometimes internally, hey, this is scary for me to talk about, but I trust you. Or this is scary for me to talk about, but I just got to let it out because it's driving me insane and I'm willing to risk that you might not understand. Moments where you admit, I don't have it all figured out. People don't think about that as emotional intimacy, but it is showing a vulnerability. When we want to be like living in expert culture and we have to be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. God, that feels very vulnerable. It feels like people could attack us because of that. But like nobody has anything figured out. Like you could figure it out today and then something can happen tomorrow and it's not figured out because something else changed that you had no control over. So we got to let go of that. For me, if I cry in front of you, it is very emotionally intimate, right? I discovered this recently where I'm like, my crier is like just for me. Unless I'm crying about something I'm watching on TV, I can let myself cry about other people's stuff. But yeah. Talking about things that you're ashamed about, that is a form of emotional intimacy, right? Like being like, oh, here's some dumb shit I did, right? And we don't need to say a dumb shit, but it's usually how it comes out, right? Because we've prejudged that this is a dumb thing that we've done instead of having our compassion come in to be like, well, here's a thing that wasn't my favorite thing to do, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so I understand why I did it. I'm not proud of it. And here's the things I want to do differently, right? When we're talking about stuff like that, we're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. When we're being the receiver of vulnerability, this is, again, we're creating connection here. We're creating emotional intimacy. And the first part of it was how we're creating it in terms of letting other people support us and being vulnerable with other people. But to be able to complete the connection, we have to be a receiver also, this is like, yeah, I've nailed this one. And a lot of people have nailed this one. Listening deeply, not just to respond or fix or tell a story that is similar, although sometimes that's okay, right? Like it's a fine line sometimes, but we're listening to understand. And that's where that comes in, right? Our responses are geared toward the understanding, right? So if somebody tells me something and I'm not really sure, I might tell a story about myself, but I'm doing it in order to like create an understanding connection, right? So you tell me something and I go, this happened to me once. Does it feel like it's like that? And that would be when it's appropriate. Like I'm trying to wrap my head around it and this is my only example. Does that seem like it vibes? And giving them the opportunity to explain further so that you can understand, not for comparison, not for camaraderie, but just for understanding. So being curious and asking questions to get better depth of understanding that person. I'm fascinated by humans. This is my favorite thing in the entire world to do is fucking study everyone that comes across me. And when I say study everyone that comes across me, I feel like that has like a really negative connotation because I'm not studying to analyze. I'm studying because I'm like, wow, people are fascinating and I'm gathering information that helps me know that we don't know anything and that every human being is individual, and so every human being needs to be seen as individual. So I study people because it's enriching to my life to know all the different ways that people think and do and feel. And it helps me support people, all people, especially in my profession, but just in life. As a receiver, we want to show compassion when somebody reveals something messy about themselves or something that they've decided is messy, right? Because again, me, I'm like, that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal to that person, right? And so I have to be able to have that compassion thing on instead of the like, you know, it's not cold, but definitely, it's the depth of compassion of being like, wow, I can see how that makes you feel. Not, hey, that's normal or not normal. I can see how that makes you feel. We can do that by using reflective listening, which if you don't know what that is, it is, just kind of reflecting back what you hear people saying. So if somebody says, oh, like, I can't believe I did that. You can reflect back of like, well, I mean, do you really feel like you don't know why you did that? You know what I mean? Like, that's such a therapist thing. That's why I paused. I was like, I don't even do that in my personal life. I was trying to come up with a personal reflective listening and my like therapist brain came in. But in my personal life, I try not to do that, right? Reflective listening looks like that sucks. That's really hard. I can totally understand why you would do that. I can't imagine how hard it is to ABC, right? Like, and you're reflecting back what you've heard from them, right? Again, it's about supporting them. It's not about you at that moment. We're offering the support, whatever way they say that they're ready to receive it. It's when you're not performing or pretending, and it's when you're met with empathy, not judgment, and you're giving those things, right? That's emotional intimacy, and it's fucking magical, truly magical. So how do we build this, right? Like, okay, sounds good, Vanessa. Let's fucking do it. How do we do it? I'm cursing a lot today. I am cursing a lot today. So here's how we get practical. Okay, I'm going to try to get practical. We know that it's hard for me to be practical. Start with yourself. If you can't be emotionally intimate with others, you can't be emotionally intimate with others if you're disconnected from your own feelings, right? Like, how am I supposed to help you understand me if I don't understand me? Or if I'm not even trying to understand me, right? Like, there's a difference between not really understanding because you're like in it and not even trying. So you can ask yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? And for me, the drill down, why? We are saying why more than one time. Self-awareness is the foundation of everything, right? Truly, I cannot emphasize that enough. So often people are bleeding on others, feeling like that's how they are connecting intimately, only to find out when they drill down, the things that they shared aren't the root cause and that connectivity isn't hitting that root need. So what they receive in return feels like it misses the mark in helping feel connected or healed because it is missing the mark. You haven't created the correct target because you didn't do the internal work to know yourself. Really important. Awareness, number one. If there's nothing else that you remember from me, it is awareness is number one. You cannot heal what you cannot identify. You'll heal or you'll try to heal things and you just won't get it. Yeah, you have to identify, and it's layers sometimes, right? Like we have to heal the top layer before we can get to the bottom layer, but we have to be able to get there. We have to have things that are not blankets that we're trying to heal because it won't work. We also need to practice vulnerability. Start small, sharing how you really feel, even if it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it is things like, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know about that. And if you're a person who is used to feeling like an expert and you're like really uncomfortable saying, I don't know, or I haven't seen that, or I haven't read that, right? Like you're a reader and people are like, oh, this is like the greatest book ever. How have you not read it? And you're like, well, I fucking haven't. Right? Like being able to, instead of like feeling like you can't tell people that you haven't done something or that you don't know about something, that can be like a small share. You don't have to reveal everything at once. Intimacy is built in layers, and it's good for it to be built in layers, right? It's safer for us when we're afraid to build it in layers. So, like another example, instead of just saying, I'm fine, when somebody asks you how you're doing, you could say, honestly, today's tough. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And you can follow that up with, I don't really need anything from anybody. It's just one of those days, right? Or you could say, not my favorite day, but I don't really want to talk about it, right? And that just helps you take a little baby step into being able to say how you're really feeling and start to get responses back that make you feel like that's okay, right? Because that connectivity is that two-way street. If I keep it inside, I perpetuate the idea that nobody wants to talk about it, nobody cares, right? And nobody can support me. And I will just keep that cycle going because I'm not allowing anybody to teach me anything different. So we've got to let people teach us something different. And I know that that comes with a side of what if they're not trustworthy? That's a whole other situation. We have to be able to assess what people are able to do, right? Their capability. Don't go be wildly vulnerable with somebody who literally like doesn't even stay in touch with their own feelings. They're not going to be able to give you that thing. And it's right there in front of you. You're like, hey, they ignore their own feelings, but I'm going to expect them to understand mine. How much sense does that make? It doesn't, right? So we have to be discerning. We do have to be discerning, but not so discerning that we never do it. Okay. Creating emotional safety. We need to be someone who listens without jumping to fix, judge, or dismiss. Now, for me, very hard for me not to fix, very hard for me not to ask questions that are leading into the solution. I know how hard that is because I do struggle with it really hard. I struggle very hard. But if I want somebody to come to me, I need to be able to be trustworthy, right? You can respond with, thank you for trusting me, instead of giving that advice or critique. This is hard. I know it's hard, especially when somebody you love. Like I want to fix and help people heal, all the people. And the people that I love, I feel their pain so deeply because of the empath in me, but because of the lover in me, right? So I'm always just like, oh my God, I want to fix it because I feel it within me. But I have to take that step to say, that's not helpful. You're just going to have to be in it with them, whatever that is. And so a lot of it is just letting things sit, letting them sit as uncomfortable and being present. The fourth thing, let's be consistent. One vulnerable conversation doesn't build intimacy overnight. It's the ongoing showing up. I'm here for you, even when it's rough, messy, that kind of presence, right? Because we're building a pathway of trust inside our own brains and inside somebody else's brain that hasn't been developed. And when you think of neuroplasticity, which is the rebuilding of pathways in your brain, or building, not rebuilding, building sometimes for the first time, it is that consistency, right? Like we have to use that pathway consistently in order for it to strengthen and grow, just like muscles, right? Like this is the psych gym. It's the same damn thing. And so we have to continuously show up for others and let people continuously show up for us if we want that thing to happen. Okay? And lastly, we're going to respect boundaries and have them. Intimacy is a dance. It's about closeness, but also, respecting some space. Don't force things, let them grow naturally. I know it's tricky. I know. People withdraw, and while they say they want you to leave them alone, it might be reactionary. And this is why these lists are often annoying to me. I know guidance is helpful, but also remember that these tips are to be considered differently in each relationship you're applying them to. You have to know a person well to know when they are being reactionary versus in self awareness. And that shit is hard to tell sometimes. It's not a perfect process. And sometimes we accidentally cross good boundaries. And other times we tiptoe on the false defense mechanism boundaries. So there is no perfectionism here, right? Like we can't expect that we're always going to do everything 100% right, because there is no 100% right. Two people are two people, and their individuality makes it different. So my relationship with a significant other and what intimacy means there, and how I react in my emotionality there, is going to differ from relationships in my family, from relationships with my clients, from relationships with my friends, right? And so each relationship, even within those subsectors, it's going to be different, right? But you learn how to trust within you how to do these things and how to do them imperfectly, right? Like, and you say, I think I fucked up. I think I missed the mark, right? Like, I think I overstepped your boundary and I'm really sorry. That also helps, right? So it's not just about doing it perfectly, it's about doing it imperfectly sometimes and being able to create trust within, our responsibilities and our accountability. Okay. And I said that was the last one, but I hadn't scrolled down. So here's another one. We're going to ask deeper questions. We're going to go beyond how was your day? And this one is, I think, a really hard one, because for me, I don't like to do this because I feel like I'm being a therapist. And I don't like it when people think that I'm being a therapist with them. The problem is that I was this person first, and then I used the skills as a therapist, right? So I've always been this way, man. Like, I got inducted into peer outreach, which was peer counseling, when I was a freshman in high school, because I was like this. It was voted on by the student body. Literally, you voted for the person that you go to that makes you feel safe. And then we get elected into this peer counseling service so that we can help others, right? So I was this person first. And then I decided, like, hey man, it's so easy to just be this person. I could make it a career. Sweet. Sign me the fuck up, right? So here I am now doing that dance, right? Because now people are like, she's therapizing me. And I'm like, no, I'm just like this. I just ask these questions. I'm legitimately this curious. Like, and I want to love you and help you feel heard. So I get it. These questions are harder to ask sometimes, but it's part of building emotional intimacy. And we have to learn how to do it. Society wise, we are not good at it. So let's try. We can ask things like deeper questions. What's been on your mind lately? Um, when we're like getting to know people, we can say like, what's your like natural state of being, right? Like, you can ask silly questions. They don't have to be like deep, like dark feeling questions. What's something you wish more people could understand, right? And that could be about you. It can be about whatever. But just kind of asking questions that are not surface level. And we need work on that. We need to learn how to connect with each other on things that are not surface level without it having to be like a dramatic event. Like having just deep conversations would be nice. So you don't have to be super philosophical though. Like, truly, it can be your own information. You can actually share some information and then ask a question, right? Like, you could start with, man, it's been on my mind lately, like A, B, C. And then you can ask them, like, is there anything like that like for you, like what's going on in your brain lately? And so it sounds more conversational than like being questioned. So again, like these are not easy things, and that's why we suck at it, because I think that people just aren't taught, and then it is hard. It's not easy to do this shit. But there's rewards. Oh God, the rewards of emotional intimacy. Whew. When I work with clients, and especially when I work with couples and we get to a deeper level of emotional intimacy, it's like fireworks. It's beautiful. And it feels so good to feel seen and loved. Like I have a group of friends, my hockey girls in New Jersey, and my God, the feeling that I get right now, I could cry thinking about them because there's nothing off limits there for any of us. We love each other. We are there for each other. We listen to each other. We like know how to connect. And it's really freaking beautiful. There's nothing like it in this world. Beautiful. Totally worth the vulnerability to be able to make that connection. So you experience real connection, not just being together physically, but emotionally present. It's hard to describe. I mean, it really just is. But when you feel it, you're like, oh yeah, this is it, right? Like, so when I feel people that give me like Corey Cat energy, I'm like, yeah. That's how I feel. Like, yeah, we are there. Deeper trust. You know that you're accepted, not for the mask you wear, but for who you really are. Like I think about this. This is when my daughter was probably about 4, and I realized that around her, she was the only person that I was myself around, like truly myself. Like just the days I didn't want to shower, dancing like a fool, singing off key, like in front of her, I was myself. And then I would notice when I started dating somebody that I didn't do all those things. I put on a mask, and like that would maybe come out later, but sometimes didn't. Like I had a whole ass relationship with somebody who never saw me do that. And I was like, dude, that's not cool. That's not you. You're not allowing that. And you wonder why you're not emotionally connected. Now, that person was not capable of it. And so that's why it didn't happen. Again, discernment probably was there, but also not good, right? We don't need to be in relationships like that. It's so healing. Intimacy has the power to heal wounds we thought would always hurt. It provides new information to the brain that counteracts what it knew before. We grow the pathways. If you have not studied neuroplasticity, which I can understand why you wouldn't, just Google it up. Just Google it and read a little tiny bit about it. It's fascinating. We can do this inside our brains. We can heal our wounds. We can. But it takes work and repetition. And the last reward, the best reward, the reason to do it, more fulfilling relationships, love, friendship, community, they all become like richer and deeper and more yummy when you let people see you, because they can connect to you and you feel that, that you're like, oh my God, like I sang like for 6 hours in the car on the way there and they still love me. Right? You're like, oh my God, they love me. They love the weird parts of me because I let them see the weird parts of me, or what I've decided are weird, and they're not weird, but whatever. You feel real in those spaces. You feel at ease. You feel like you can be moment to moment, just you, not a shell or a mask. And that, because we know that that doesn't feel good. We are consciously and subconsciously in awareness that if somebody accepts us for the not real us, that they don't know the real us, right? And we know that. It's not easy. It is vulnerable. It's hard. It's scary sometimes, but it's really, really worth it. I promise you. Promise you. All right, so that's it for today. I'm going to let you off the hook. If you're craving these deeper connections, just know it starts with courage, small steps, really honest moments, and good discernment. I will say that. I'm not going to say like you have to find trustworthy people, but we just got to discern. Like be super honest with yourself when you're looking at somebody before you start this emotional intimacy connection. Do they have the capacity? Do you have any evidence that they have the capacity to do this? And then you just start. And you don't have to get it perfect. You just got to be real, because that's the perfect. There is no such thing as dialed in, because there's way too many factors that can get in the way. So if this hit home for you, share it, or just read it or listen to it again or whatever, but I hope it hits home, and I hope that it helps. And if you want to drop a comment, that's fine. If you want to DM me on my socials to work with me on this, absolutely do that, you know. And you could also, just let me know how this resonated and maybe how you're going to practice this, because I love it. I love it. I love to hear what everybody's doing all the time. I know it's very voyeuristic, but I swear it's with very innocent intentions. So thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. And thank you for letting me be your guide today. Love ya. Thanks for listening. To learn more about what I do and how to work with me, head to thepsychgym.com to check it out. Keep lifting, y'all. It's worth it.